whoever anyone's mentor is, I think there has to be that trust and that safety there where they can say to you, I know that you're doing XYZ, but you're not being honest with yourself. It's not working. Let's look at what's working and what do you need to do differently? And to be able to have a mentor who loves you and you feel safe and has good advice throughout my journey from young till now spiritually, to be able to be honest, has been invaluable.
Welcome to Working Women Mentor, the podcast that delivers mentorship in every conversation. Each episode, we meet remarkable women who share the real moments, challenges, and breakthroughs that shape their journeys. These are stories that inspire, empower, and remind us of what is possible. I'm your host, Rainey Alfers, and I cannot wait for you to meet today's guest. Let's jump in and uncover your next mentor moment. Hey everyone, welcome back to Working Women Mentor. I'm your host, Rainey Alfers, and in today's episode, we get to meet the internationally recognized Christina Woods. She is the CEO and founder of Wise Woods Hypnotherapy, and Christina is leading women around the world on this journey of self-discovery through hypnosis, coaching, energy healing practices. And I know when you hear me say that, you might think, energy healing practices? What in the world is that? Well, we dive all into it. So you have to tune in and listen because it helped me better understand hypnotherapy, the benefits of it, but also the triggers out there in terms of why we need to look inward and understand where we are today, what's happening, and what we might need to get past it. So not a one-size-fits-all podcast, but definitely one that will make you think and give you some actionable tips about your life and about how to move forward. Mentorship is key to Christina, and she has some great advice on what a mentor should be, how to find one, why we need one, and her views and her experience has taught her, and she's now teaching others, including us today. Let's jump in and meet Christina Woods. Here we go. Christina Woods, thank you for joining us today on Working Women Mentor. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here, Rainey.
We're excited to hear what you have to say. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. So I am a clinical hypnotherapist, an energy healer, an empowerment coach, and I empower women to recognize their worth, shed a bunch of old beliefs, and really just align with their authentic selves. And I bring along with me 3 decades of corporate leadership, and I blend it all together with some cutting edge technologies. And really, it's my second career. So it's a wonderful time in my life.
Ah, I love that. It's like you packaged it in a little bow It's a wonderful time in my life. Just hearing the description, by the way, feels like good energy. So I'm sure that is what you were fostering wherever you go. Would you please share with us what your friends had to say about you when you sent them a text and said, please describe me for this podcast? What would you say about me? I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a couple texts, and all of them were around me following my dreams and my intuition and perseverance, and a combination of being loving and also driven with following my dreams and my gut and what I want to do.
Which one surprised you the most?
I think just the consistency that, wow, people see that I follow my dreams and my intuition. So it really felt really good. Thank you for that.
I can imagine. And by the way, it's the first time I've had a guest say that someone responded with following your dreams. Passions, different types of descriptions, but following your dreams is a little bit different. I love that. It also makes you understand too that people out there understand what your dreams might be, right?
Yeah, and that you're so that you're living your dreams. That your dreams are so clear. It's
I love that. Okay, so let's get started because you gave us a wonderful introduction, and I want to talk a little bit more about that because you started in this corporate leadership world and then transitioned into where you are now, living your best life. Give us an idea of just what helped you form your company, decide you're going to make this shift, and what made you do it?
Yeah, so like many, many women, I was very driven, really believed that everything in my life had to be very picture perfect. And so I was very high achieving and very excelled VP, traveling around the world. I got it going on with high heels in the airport, super mom, doing it all. And so what happened, and just a little backstory, was it all sort of just fell apart. My marriage fell apart. My health fell apart. I had been married over 25 years. My health was falling apart. A lot of immune diseases started piling up. I was noticing that regardless of the raises and the income I was having, a lot of it was going out the other end. Why was I still spending so much? Why was I not feeling happy and fulfilled? And so it all just sort of came to a screeching halt. And I was picking weeds one day and I heard a voice that just said, when are you going to stop doing what everyone else wants you to do and pay attention to what you want? And it literally stopped me in my tracks. And I had to really stop and look and find out what was going on. Why did I have all the boxes checked? And, I've listened to some episodes on your show and many other shows, and this is not an uncommon story. But for me, what it unraveled was a whole life and childhood of where I had buried things and lived a persona in a life that I thought would make everything okay, and just buried the parts of me that needed love and attention. And so once I did that and discovered what I really needed and who I really was, that's when I realized, wow, there's people walking around, many other women walking around with beliefs about themselves that aren't true, just like I was. And we all believe we need to be perfect. We don't need to be perfect. And once I did that, I had the love within myself to say, I'm going to go out and help other women find these beliefs that they think are true about themselves that are not. And they are enough, and help empower other women. So I pulled everything that I have, the skills, the leadership, and I, through my own journey, found hypnotherapy and some of the other modalities that I use. And it changed my life. And this is how now I've built this business.
Well, and yes, you have built a business, Wise Woods Hypnotherapy. That's so much to unpack. And yes, you're right. A lot of people, well, I wish we all had more aha moments and had the voices appearing. And I wish we had a lot more of that, or maybe I even wish we would listen to it when we do. But what I love is that you then took the next steps. And now you're helping others because it is different for everyone. And so you come at this with different modalities. And one of them is the hypnotherapy. You started the Wise Woods Hypnotherapy Group. And with your 3 decades in corporate leadership, I'm assuming there is some influence in this past into how you're running this new business, this new impact you're creating, the coaching business that you have. Would you share with us how that's helping you and how your past is actually still with you in this business?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I work with high achieving women. And so I think the first thing that I bring with me is an understanding and this ability to see through the fact that at the core, we can cover up so many. Even when women will call me and say, I want to expand my business. I want to earn more money. I want to reach another limit in my business. I want to meet the love of my life. So many times I can see through all of that. And I don't think unless I'd lived through 3 decades of leadership and, being able to really see BS.
Yeah.
I've walked that walk.
You've been the one saying it before, right?
I've been the one saying it, oh, if you achieve all these things, you're going to feel great. You're going to look great. It's going to all be okay. So I'm able to sit with people and say, okay, wait a second. I know that sounds like the next step in your journey. It sounds like the next obvious evolution. What do you really want? Let's talk about what you really want. And very quickly, we'll typically really just sort of melt down and say, I don't even want that. I don't even want my business to grow in that way. What I really want is more time with my family. What I really want is a partner who will listen. Or I want more time for myself, but they're afraid to say that because our society or they believe that they are meant to want another digit behind their bank account. So I bring a lot of leadership skills. I bring a lot of ability to take action, yes, but I also bring a lot of intuition and a lot of ability to see through what they are saying because that's what they believe they're supposed to say. And let's cut through the crap.
It's very simple. And what I like about this too is that often, when we switch careers or when we have the idea of doing something in addition or something else, we can't forget everything we've learned.
No.
Because it's not a true like switch, like I'm turning everything else off. You take so much with you and you're developing it and applying it in new ways. And I think when I talk with women and it's like they're thinking of something, a new venture, or they have some ideas, the fear in there, we forget how many skills we have within us already that'll help us get there. And you've packaged everything you have. And now you're applying it to these real worlds of women and saying, hey, if you can't see them yet, I can in you. And I think that's incredibly helpful.
It is. And yes, we do it every day and we don't see all of these skills. But I also believe that so many women, successful women, we believe that, okay, I've healed something or I'm past that. I don't need to work on that anymore. And really, it's just part of our evolution. So I'm working with a top executive now. She works and coaches top executives. And she hit a limit. She's working on creating, I think it's almost 100 videos for a program that she's creating. And she's hit a block. She's nervous. She's hired the videographers, all the people to make all these videos. And, she's hit a block. She can't do it. She's freaking out. And what we've realized is, yes, you've done all these things before, but what's happening is all these fears are starting to bubble up. It's not that she doesn't have the skills to do it. But when we went back in hypnotherapy, which I know we'll talk in a moment later, is some childhood fears that she's just sort of buried and put to the side and been able to have a very successful career. But now that she's leveling up, they're starting to roar their little head and say, I don't think so. You've been successful enough. I don't think so. We don't want you to be that successful. And she's quite surprised and actually quite frustrated. So high achieving women, sometimes we think, well, that can't be. I've already done so much. Why is this coming up? So we oftentimes just need another mentor to look within and say, you know what? Just because we've healed this one thing doesn't mean there's not another layer of your evolution to say, well, guess what? You need to heal it a little bit more. And that's okay. It's part of your evolution.
Yeah. And that's a great reminder because just as we progress and evolve, the more will pop up. Why should we not expect this? We don't want it to happen. And we're surprised when it does. But why are we? Because it's just this place we've never been before. That's an interesting way to look at it as well. They're still going to pop up. Just beware and be ready to deal with it.
Yeah. And there's almost a shame in, I'm more evolved than that. I'm more progressed than that. I'm more successful than this.
I know better. I know better.
Yes. Of course, I have confidence. I've even stopped using words like imposter syndrome and certain things because many high achieving women don't even identify with that. Yet when we get down to it, that's something that most of us have a degree that we're struggling with. So I know I did. And yet 3 decades of success in corporate, I don't know many women who at some point didn't have that creep in at some point.
Exactly. Everybody, all of us have it.
Yeah.
I would say 100%. I mean, like 99% of women I've talked to have. So there's strength in numbers.
Yes.
So Christina, I'm curious, who were some of the mentors in your life and how did they help guide you through moments or to where you are today?
Yeah, I've done an excellent job of finding great mentors, and I've purposely found mentors who challenge me, and I continue to do that, especially as I've changed careers. I've had to really get out of my comfort zone. At 50, when you are in a completely new area. And
it could be a lonely world.
It could be a lonely world.
Yeah, you can't let it.
Credibility in a new world. So I think in general, my mentors, I have had spiritual mentors, professional mentors, and a theme across all of them is that I've allowed them to be honest with me. And I've lived my life very often believing I've had to have the perfect persona. And all of my mentors have been able to say to me the truth about what I've needed to hear. And I've allowed that in because there's been trust and there's been a connection of I feel safe. And so whoever anyone's mentor is, I think there has to be that trust and that safety there where they can say to you, I know that you're doing XYZ, but you're not being honest with yourself. It's not working, or this is happening, or that's happening, or you need to do it different, or let's really look at why this isn't working, and being really open to that. And I've also recently had some mentors even assess what my business, I'm a new business entrepreneur here, and what's not working or what's working, and saying, honey, this isn't working. Let's look at what's working and what do you need to do differently? And to be able to have a mentor who loves you and you feel safe and has good advice. So throughout my journey from young till now, spiritually, to be able to be honest has been invaluable.
And as you mentor others yourself, because you do daily, how have you taken that and how are you applying your mentorship practice? Because you have to distinguish between, do you distinguish between coaching and mentorship in your practice?
Yeah, I do. I think when we get into coaching, of course, we're taking action, we're looking forward, we're taking steps in terms of where they want to go in the future. But it's certainly, as a mentor, it's a blend and a combination of both. So
sometimes it's a lot more high. It's higher level. It's not as in the weeds, working through the nitty gritty steps often, right? It's exactly. A little bit more. It's a little bit more there. So how are you applying mentorship? Like, what does it look like in your practice right now?
Every client is so unique, and this is such an emotional, personal journey with everyone. But how I'm applying it is really looking at the beliefs that they have about themselves and constantly helping them find evidence of the truth about themselves, reconnecting them with parts of themselves where they've been disconnected. Because at the highest level of all the work that I do as a mentor, it's when we disconnect from ourselves, we lose touch with our intuition, with how we feel about ourselves. So reconnecting them with themselves, their confidence that they are enough, that they can trust their intuition, that they trust their inner compass. So as a mentor, it's constantly rebuilding, reconnecting, finding moments where they can trust their inner voice, their just that inner compass, because they have lost sight of that. So many times clients will veer off over here and say, yeah, but I want to talk about money. Yeah, but I want to talk about this. No. Because that's going to get you off track of the fact that you don't trust yourself to begin with. Let's get back to the core of why your money is off in the first place. I know you want a boyfriend right now, or I know you want this right now, but it's because of this core issue. So, having difficult conversations is a huge part of being a mentor. But
that's a great point, because not everyone can handle. Well, not everyone can do it, and not everyone can handle it. But when they meet their match, that's when you probably see the magic happen.
Yeah, I would say there's more times than not in the middle of the work that I do that clients probably don't like me, and I'm not their favorite person when we hang up. But in the end, of course, there's a lot of respect. But I'm asking difficult questions and having them really have to look within and deep journal on things that make them uncomfortable.
What would you say to women who are listening that haven't had the mentorship like you just described? Someone to help them reconnect with their compass, someone to see them as yours saw you along the years. And in today's very digital world, very busy world, even the corporate side, what advice would you have to women to seek these other people out there as mentors?
Yeah, I think it's so significant and important to remember that we are not meant to walk any journey alone. And you will be pleasantly surprised to realize and understand you are likely not the only one experiencing what you're experiencing. And when you can find a tribe, a group, anything, someone to talk to, someone to understand, and really put that in the universe that it feels like you're the only one experiencing it. And of course, each of our situations is unique. No one will have the exact imprint of your life. But when you start to share and you start to listen and you start to find other people that connect with you, it will change your life. It will change your world to not feel alone. It's so important to have someone say, I understand. This is my perspective. It might not be 100% yours, but you can take pieces and you connect with other humans. It's vital. It's so important.
It's time for a quick sponsored ad from EMK Skincare. It's my skincare secret I swear by and love it so much, I bought the company. EMK was founded over 30 years ago in Beverly Hills and is crafted from science-backed research of human placenta and the bioidentical properties to placenta found in nature. High-potency, plant-powered formulas with clinically proven ingredients. Anti-aging is just not realistic, but healthy aging skin is. And it's why this brand is loved by dermatologists, plastic surgeons, estheticians for its healing ingredients and reduced downtime after procedures. It's my secret to glowing skin, even on my busiest days, my travel days, and my longest work days. Visit emkskincare.com to sign up for emails and receive 15% off your first purchase. Now back to the episode. So I had a conversation with a girlfriend about our upcoming interview, and I was so excited to meet you and chat about all of these topics. But hypnotherapy was the one, and her immediate reply was, "I'm terrified of that. Does it actually even work?" I was like, "Well, tune in and find out." But there is often some concern, some misunderstanding about this world. Would you educate us about hypnotherapy, Christina?
Sure. Yeah. And that's everyone's reaction. Even my own son was, oh my goodness, Mom, you're like the guy at the fair or something. So hypnotherapy is a natural state. I want everyone to know that. And we go into the brain waves of hypnotherapy actually throughout the entire day. So if I know everyone here has probably driven home from the grocery store and you don't remember if you have gone through the light or stopped and you're sitting in your driveway going, oh my goodness, I hope I stopped. I hope I followed the traffic laws because I don't remember. So our brain waves go in and out of alpha and theta brain waves. Or you're watching TV, someone's talking to you and you can't hear, you don't remember. We're on the phone driving. We can do so many things. So it's a natural state. It's not a trance where you lose control. Nobody would sign up to lose control.
That's right.
Take all my control away from me. Nobody would do that. So you're not losing any control. And it's a brainwave state where we quiet the conscious mind, the analytical mind, the mind that chitty chats and tells us all the things we need to do. And we actually expand and open the subconscious mind, which is 95% of what is controlling everything we think and feel and believe about the world. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, just means that's what's running the show. And it actually is what absorbs everything like a sponge. And so when we open the subconscious mind, and it feels like a meditation, so you just sort of are in a relaxed state. And we talk the whole time. I don't think people realize in hypnosis, we're chatting the whole time. You can hear the dog bark. That always surprises people. So you're not just in this catatonic state and I'm just telling you everything. So we're chatting.
Right, to jump up and down, act like a monkey, do these crazy things we see on stage somewhere. Yeah, good to know.
No. And, we want to find the root of why we believe certain things. And we do that in your subconscious. And then we replace it with the beliefs that are important. And again, your subconscious is like a sponge. But it has sometimes soaked up things that aren't true. So we want it to soak up things that are true.
And couldn't we all use a break with our conscious mind turned off for a while? I mean, I'd like to shut mine down a few times a day sometimes. So I think it actually sounds quite relaxing and appealing. Some of the benefits of this type of therapy and coaching when you intertwine with the other modalities. Can you give us an example of what that looks like when you weave it into your practice and sort of what science says about this, how it works?
Sure. What I was finding is that our mind wants to stay with what's familiar and what we're used to, whether it's good or bad. That's why it's so hard. There's a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Ourselves. It's a difficult thing to break habits, we know. So what I found and why I weave in coaching and why I weave in energy healing is that it progresses things and speeds things up so much faster. So our mind learns by repetition. We listen to an audio recording after hypnosis to change the subconscious beliefs. But the coaching is to help because a week after hypnosis, you go to work, your boss triggers you, your boyfriend says something, you go to the gym and you feel like this isn't working. Why am I even going? Or you eat a cookie at midnight or whatever. Things happen in life. We get stressed. The coaching is going to help give you tools and things to use during life when life happens and triggers our emotions that have been leading our behavior for 20, 30, 40 years sometimes. So coaching and tools give us real life examples and tools. Energy healing, I believe we are physical and energy beings and that our energy is so powerful. So our inner world is an example. When we look at our outer world, we better look inside at our inner world. And so energy clearing our chakras, clearing our energy. What are we saying to ourselves? Our mindset work needs to go hand in hand with this. So that energy work that I do, again, just speeds things up so much faster. So that's why I combine it all. The science behind this, there's so much evidence that shows when we're in these certain brainwave states, alpha, theta brainwaves, that anxiety is reduced, that stress is reduced, that when we are able to rewire limiting beliefs, our behaviors change. The way we talk to ourselves, we know there's science already that knows through epigenetics that every cell in our body responds to the words we use, to the beliefs that we have, the way we think. So what are we saying to ourselves? What beliefs do we have? If I were to have you close your eyes right now and describe that you're eating a lemon and describe it, the juice is coming out of you, you would have, your mouth would start to salivate. You don't have a lemon in your mouth. But if you were to think over and over and over, I don't have enough money in my bank account, you can see the physical stuff that happens in our body and our gut and the stress level. So this is how impactful our thoughts impact our physical body. And this is where hypnotherapy has the science behind how much it impacts our entire physical being.
And along with this, you're conquering topics for us such as setting boundaries and burnout and sort of getting that, we talked a little bit about the self-sabotage and getting that voice right in our mind. But then we have the boundaries. Now we have to go out into the world and remind ourselves and remind others. What are some tips that would you give our audience on setting those boundaries and remembering to stay healthy and true to us?
Yeah, a good exercise, again, the words that we're saying to ourselves, but the energetics of boundaries, always asking ourselves and getting curious, what are you available for and what are you not available for? When we're younger, we might be available for friends that are not nice because we want to be in the right clique. But as we get older, I'm not available for that. I have those friends. I'm not available for people that speak like that, act like that, do things like that. We all have different boundaries now. So assessing, what are you available for? What are you not available for? But with boundaries also is asking yourself, why would I be opposed to having that boundary? Why would I be opposed to? Because when you ask yourself, why would I be opposed to saying that, doing that, believing that, what happens is, I would feel they wouldn't like me. I would feel they'd be mad at me. I would feel I'd lose control. And that gets you to the source of why that boundary is difficult, then you can kind of deal with the issue of why the boundary is hard in the first place.
That's a great exercise. And boundary is a really great exercise because I was just chatting with someone the other day and she has a new boss and she's been at this company for over 30 years and new person comes in. And do you know what she said to me? And she's excellent at what she does. She knows it, like clockwork, but this new person that's not going great.
Yeah.
And she said, I really think I need to remind myself of my boundaries. And I suggested like a couple books and of course, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody, but at least start with, refresh your mind with what seems to help because you've been doing the same thing for 30 years. You insert a new situation, you might need to be reminded of and that's okay. But I love that she knew like, okay, I've got a problem. Because I have a problem. I need to get this fixed. And she zeroed in on the boundary. And that's usually hard for us to say, by the way, because, we don't like to admit that we're weak in that way. And so it was interesting because for someone at that stage in her career wanting to relearn some boundaries, like you said earlier in our conversation, it's at a different stage. Something's going to creep back up.
Yeah. And what happens with boundaries is those are really good indicators or like she's recognizing where we're giving our power away. And so that exercise of why would I be opposed to having a conversation with this boss or actually reacting differently. And it just happens ever so slightly where we've given our power away. We've given our cup of approval or cup. I do an exercise where we have these cups of approval, control, safety, and we sort of loan them out to people. You can have my cup of approval. You can have my cup of control and safety. Here you go. Make me feel better or make me feel safe. We don't do it on purpose. And we got to take them back sometimes. And we don't even realize we've loaned them out. We loan them out to our checking account, our people, our clothes, our car. We just loan them out and we've got to pull them back. Society takes them. How successful our podcast is, our business is. You know what? We're good enough regardless of any of those things. And until we take it back and own that, then those things actually thrive so much more. And it's so easy to have these boundaries and conversations when we take back our power and reclaim it.
It is. It really is. Christina, I'm curious to know a little bit more about your charitable work, because speaking of boundaries and times and balance in life, you do so much and you have a very strong commitment to Lotus Rising International. Would you tell us about this charity?
Yeah, I'm so fortunate. I have a dear friend that started this foundation and from a friend of over 40 years. And she's a quite visible individual. And so she uses that to launch this foundation. And it's a support for victims of human trafficking. And I'm able to use my skills in human development here and hypnosis to offer courses, offer opportunities to help calm the nerves and nervous systems of victims. So we do a lot of charity work in terms of generating revenue and money to help support victims so that right when they're rescued, they have resources that help them calm down before they even get into a facility. Sometimes right when victims of human trafficking are gathered, they're in a facility that's cold and sterile. And so, the way that I do it is I find opportunity to teach self-worth and different courses that we offer. But just, it's so rewarding. It's actually quite easy to find the balance of time, but you do what you can. You find ways in which your skills can help. And when she asked, I thought, well, what could I do about human trafficking? How could I help? And we put all our brains together, me and many other people in this space. And she even said, well, I'm going to offer aromatherapy. I'm going to offer Reiki. I'm going to offer ways in which to help people. And we're doing it. And it's not a way that people would think right away would help human trafficking. And it is. It's incredible.
Yeah, and also I think you found a way Because I imagine your charitable time may have been spent differently 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. And
Absolutely.
so now you have this toolkit and this is what you're helping with. Had another conversation recently about someone and she said, I'm donating books to this charity because I have it. I already have the book and it doesn't cost me very much. And even if it did, that's okay. But I don't really have the time right now, but I do have this lead magnet even, right? This information that I've created that I know could help others. And I just want to give it to them without any other path. That's a wonderful thing. I think it's a reminder for all of us to look around. What's in our toolkit?
What's in our toolkit?
And if we're interested in getting involved, it can look very different to all of us. It's not always money. It's not always direct time, is it?
No, it's not. And there are so many ways that people need help. And there are so many organizations. There's so many, find what you're passionate about. And until she approached me, I didn't even realize there was a way that I could help with this. And it's so incredibly rewarding. And now my brain is constantly thinking of, well, gosh, what percentage of my business can I contribute or what course can I create to help with a new charity or with something new that's coming up, because I love teaching new ways for self-care. Self-care has been a huge one, and everybody needs to find new ways for self-care. And so that's been a big one.
Christina, for 2025, you have so much going on. How, and so do all of us, right?
Yeah.
What is your advice to us on balancing those items? I hate to say work-life balance. I think that's overused. But I'm curious, how are you looking at this year? How are you advising women to say, wake up, figure this out and do more of this? Do you have any advice for us?
I do. And my advice is get really crystal clear on what is your why, what's important to you, and really pull back. I've done a reassessment with all of my VIP clients and just pulling it really far back, because originally a lot of my clients have said, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. Why? What is important to you? What are your values? Why is that important to you? What motivates you? What excites you every single day? Because we get so myopic into, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But what does your heart want? And for me, I know that meant I cleared so many things I thought were important off of my calendar this year, off of my list of to-dos. And I have now maybe 3 or 4 main priorities that I want to do this year, because my why is more time with my family, more time with the people that mean a lot to me, and creating a business that grows, but that also gives me time with family. So to do that, I've got to eliminate some of these other things. So
which it finds your fuel. It finds your fuel to make those things wonderful, doesn't it?
So whatever your why is, but getting really clear about it from a place of a deep sense of why and what do you really want? And don't worry about the money behind it and all the things, because we got to get first clear on that, and then, yes, we can break it down into priorities and goals and how you get there. But that's what I'm doing right now for myself and for all my clients.
Sounds like it's already working. Christina, what is your mentor moment that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I want everyone to know they have the power, so much power inside of themselves to heal themselves and to tune back into their number one superpower, which is their intuition. You really have so much power inside of you. Your intuition is a voice within that can guide you to the answers that you're looking for. So you really have that superpower within. Just get quiet and really start to do the things you need to do to listen to that power.
Get quiet. Get quiet. Sometimes that is the hardest thing to do, but the best thing to do, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Anytime things get incredibly hectic for me, I think just stay still. Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah. We just forget and we
stop
get
for a moment.
Yeah.
That is wonderful advice. Christina, how can our audience find you and support you?
Sure. So my website is ChristinaLWoods.com, and LinkedIn is a great place to find me as well.
Perfect. Thank you for being a guest mentor today. We really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Before you go, a huge thank you for being a part of this episode. I hope it left you with a spark of inspiration. And if you haven't already, hit that follow button and subscribe button to stay connected. Now is a great time. Your reviews are the heartbeat of our podcast. So if you enjoyed what you heard today, a review would really mean the world to us. Let's keep this conversation going as well on Instagram at Rainy Alphers. Visit us at rainyalphers.com for all episodes, show notes, and also to express your interest to be a guest. Please sign up. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, I'll see you back on Working Women Mentor.